In this video, we will be diving deeper into the question of, does God exist? Or, is God real? Or, is there any evidence for God? So without further ado, I say let's jump right into the data after you press the like button and subscribe for more videos just like this one. Our evidence today will be the fine-tuning of the universe. If you didn't know, there are various types of constants in our universe, such as the gravitational constant, Planck's constant, the cosmological constant, or the Hubble constant, among many others. And if any one of these mathematical constants were changed by an extremely small degree, it would make it impossible for intelligent life to ever exist anywhere in the universe. Without all of these constants falling inside a narrow range of possibilities, we would not have stars, planets, or even chemistry. But before we proceed, let us first grasp how numbers can jump from a gigantic number to an astounding number by simply adding only 3 zeros to the end of that number. As an example, if we have the number 1 million and we place 3 zeros behind it, we would arrive at 1 billion. But what difference can just 3 zeros really make? To demonstrate just how large the leap is from 1 million to 1 billion, we can do a thought experiment. For instance, how many days do you think 1 million seconds is? It's about 11 days. But now, how many days do you think that 1 billion seconds is? Well, it's around 31 years. Remember, we went from 11 days to 31 years by adding only 3 zeros. With that thought experiment in mind, I want to bring the gravitational constant to your attention, to where if this constant was changed by a mere 1 times 10 to the negative 60th power, then life could have never formed. That means if the value of the gravitational constant was higher or lower by the minuscule amount of 0.00000000000 50 more zeros and then a 1, life would be impossible. But the fine-tuning gets even more interesting because if the mass and energy of the early universe was not distributed evenly to an exact precision of 1 over 10 to the 10 to the 123rd, it would be impossible for life to ever exist, no matter how much time we gave it. This number is so astounding that even our imaginations fail to grasp it. If any one of the many constants of our universe deviated in their values by even an iota, stars, planets, life, and even chemistry itself would not be possible. Therefore, not only does one of the many constants have to be finely tuned, but all the constants need to be finely tuned together. Otherwise, intelligent life would be impossible anywhere in the universe. As rational creatures, how should we make sense of this cosmic fine-tuning in the universal constants? Fortunately, we have 3 options to choose from to potentially explain why these constants are exactly where they need to be to produce intelligent life on Earth. Our first possibility to explain the fine-tuning of the universe could be due to physical necessity, which means that the universal constants could not have been any other way. Our second option is chance, which could lead us to believe that we just got really, really, really lucky. And our last option is that our universe was designed. Therefore, our 3 choices to explain the fine-tuning of the universe are necessity, chance, or design. Let's start by talking about our first potential explanation for the fine-tuning, which is physical necessity. This answer would lead us to believe that the constants of our universe could not have been any other value than what they are, and therefore the universe must be life-permitting by necessity. However, when we consider that the values of these fine-tuned constants are not determined by the laws of nature, and that these constants could have different mathematical values, then this would mean that the necessity hypothesis fails, because the universe certainly does not need to be this way. After all, the probability of a life-prohibiting universe is extraordinarily greater than a life-permitting one. But the mere fact that we can use the word probability in this instance is evidence against the assertion that the universe is somehow necessarily fine-tuned for life, because probability means that there is a chance that it could have been different. Therefore, physical necessity is not a good answer to the fine-tuning of the universe. This is a great segue into our next option, which is chance. Could chance potentially explain the finely tuned constants of our universe for life to exist? Perhaps we just got really lucky, and we won the cosmic lottery, and that's why intelligent life can exist. It was all simply random chance. However, the numbers we are dealing with here are so large that random chance and probability actually speak against the hypothesis of chance rather than for it. Here is a thought experiment to illustrate this point about why random chance is not a sufficient answer. Imagine that you are trying to solve a crime, and the crime was that someone robbed a bank. And as you are looking at the security footage of the bank, you noticed that when the robber came to the locked bank vault door, he would need to enter a 12-digit code to get into the vault. But as you watched the security footage, you noticed that the robber put in the 12-digit code on his first try. As the detective, are you going to assume that the robber randomly entered the code, or do you think that the robber knew what the code was? Now imagine that instead of a 12-digit code, the bank robber had to enter a code that is trillions and trillions of numbers long. The thought experiment shows how irrational it is to appeal to random chance, especially when talking about the fine-tuning of the universal constants, because the odds of these constants randomly falling into place within a narrow life-permitting range is extremely unlikely, and it's even more unlikely than somebody randomly trying to enter a 12-digit code, let alone a trillion-digit code. Lastly, we have the option of design. If there are truly only 3 options, and we truly dismantled 2 of the 3 options, then by process of elimination, the universe must have been designed for life. However, the evidence for design is far more potent than that, because it's so strong that scientists say that the universe only looks to be designed, but that it's not actually designed. However, they don't argue for this, they simply assert it without evidence. They already admit that the universe is finely tuned, and they agree that the universe looks designed. Yet there are no good reasons to think that the universe was not designed. Perhaps the universe looks designed because it was designed. To further this point, Paul Davies, who is a theoretical physicist who is not religious, stated the following, quote, "Scientists are slowly waking up to an inconvenient truth. The universe looks suspiciously like a fix. The issue concerns the very laws of nature themselves. For 40 years, physicists and cosmologists have been quietly collecting examples of all too convenient coincidences and special features in the underlying laws of the universe that seem to be necessary in order for life and hence conscious beings to exist. Change any one of them, and the consequences would be lethal. Fred Hoyle, the distinguished cosmologist, once said, 'It was as if a super-intellect has monkeyed with physics.'" End quote. From this data, we can summarize our findings in the form of a logical argument that goes like this. Premise 1. The fine-tuning of the universe could be due to physical necessity, chance, or design. Premise 2. The fine-tuning of the universe is not likely due to physical necessity or chance. Conclusion. Therefore, the fine-tuning of the universe is most likely due to design. In the next video, where we will dive further into the evidence for God's existence to determine whether or not he does or does not exist, we will be going over how the universe even got here in the first place. Because if somebody still thinks that random chance is the best explanation, I will turn their probability literally to a 0% chance that they could be correct. So remember to subscribe and stay tuned for that video coming up next. With that being said, I'll see you in the next video.